Money in the Bank recap. The women's Money in the Bank contract match, ladder match, led off the PLE, and the participants was Naomi, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Roxanne Perez, and Alexa Bliss. Um, the match was okay. It wasn't one of those shipwrecks, train wrecks that we're accustomed to, especially last year's. Last year's was off the hook. This one was kind of mundane. It was the storyline was the vets, Naomi, Bliss, Ripley, versus the up and comers. Well, to the main roster, Julia, Roxanne, Stephanie, and I think it would have maybe played off better. First and foremost, I am glad. I'm so happy, and I actually got damn near emotional when Naomi took the briefcase off the hook and became Mrs. Money in the Bank. She returned early 2024 during the Royal Rumble after a spectacular run in TNA, after leaving the company with Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné, in a creative dispute. So for her to come back to the company and for her to be such an integral part, especially last year in the Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair program, with her included, because she was actually an integral part in that, in the feud against Jade Cargill, and to actually have Jade Cargill's first singles match at WrestleMania be against Naomi, and for Naomi to turn heel, and this heel run is so successful as of now, even though I still think they can give her more. But Naomi's such a Trinity, is such a nice woman, just a pleasant woman, that a lot of people probably thought that the heel persona wouldn't work. Well, she has a chip on her shoulder to prove everyone wrong. Proceed with caution. But as for the match itself, I think it would have been better served if they would have allowed Roxanne and Julia specifically to have more success on the main roster, since they've been, well, not officially called up, but since they've been appearing since post WrestleMania, instead of constantly being on their back, especially Roxanne Perez. Like, they touted, yeah, she's had a big 2024. She's the longest. She lasted in. She has the record for longevity in the Royal Rumble. Okay, she was in the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, and then what? And then she was off main screen, main TV, main event, main roster TV. Leading up to WrestleMania, she went back down to NXT. She wasn't even on Stand and Deliver. She was on the pre-show, and then they brought her up post WrestleMania. We have Julia, who came in with much fanfare in NXT, skyrocketed to the NXT Women's Championship, then lost in a title versus title match against Stephanie Vaquer. Then she was quote unquote injured, came back for Stand and Deliver in a 4-way, and then just kind of quietly disappeared. Quietly got shown out the door, came up, and she's been okay, but she hasn't really, her personality hasn't really shown through. Stephanie Vaquer, dare I say, they're working her like a fucking immigrant. I know that's not the most PC thing to say, but I said it. She wrestled 3 matches in 24 hours. While some would say, yeah, such a workhorse. Okay. So others would say, look, she hungry. She want that spot. She want that number one spot. The number one spot. Yeah. But you gave her 3 opportunities to get injured. And I'm quite sure y'all are about to hitch the wagon to Stephanie Vicare's wagon. That devil's kiss on the ladder. Ah, 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 ah. Thing of beauty. But it's not even about paying dues. Do y'all have anybody else wrestling 3 times in 24 hours? 4 times in a week? Like we're back in the 80s? Doing 300 shots a month, 300 shots a year? There's only so many bumps in one bump card. And these are not extremely physical matches, but a bump is a bump is a bump. And if you want literally to be able to cash in on this cash cow, on should I go there? Should I go there? On this cash, if you will, you have to be very wary of the bump card. Now, that's probably why she didn't do anything insane in the ladder match. And probably a lot of people didn't do anything insane in the ladder match, but I don't know. I think this was a once in a lifetime situation of okay, you had when worlds collide, you had everything centered in California, 3 consecutive nights, and then you're probably gonna have her on Raw tonight. Like, is she gonna be Miss Queen of the Ring? Is she gonna be in a tournament? I don't think she can be in a tournament and not win. Was that match against Io Sky, just a taste of what we're gonna get at SummerSlam? I don't know. Because now they have this Queen of the Ring tournament for the right to face the champion at SummerSlam. But then you got Naomi. You got Naomi. Naomi's going to be the wild card leading up to SummerSlam. And I swear, it's 100% probability that so far that the women cash in successfully. Y'all thought the backlash for R-Truth was bad? Imagine the backlash if Naomi becomes the first female to fail to cash in the Miss Money in the Bank contract. But yeah, like I said, decent match. Rhea did her Roman sleeping at the Royal Rumble spot. You know, I'm glad she didn't win. I'm so tired of Rhea Ripley. I am. You know, she didn't need it. And like I said, Julia, Roxanne, and Stephanie did well. Dirty Dominic Mysterio had a match, and he beat Octagon Jr. to retain the Intercontinental Championship in a match that was set up earlier that day at the Worlds Collide show, right across the parking lot at the Kia Forum. That's all need to be said about that one. Then we had Becky Lynch defeating Lyra Valkyria to become the new WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion in a pretty damn good match. Was it better than the Backlash match? To me, it was because I didn't watch the Backlash match. I watched this on delay, but I was successfully, I successfully dodged any spoilers to me, and I was able to watch this like an hour behind. And yeah, it was a good match. It was a good match, and for the storyline to continue, Becky had to win. Lyra had a good initial run as a champion. She had a 6 to 7 month run as champion. Now she can chase the title. Now this also opens the door, hopefully, for the long absent Bailey to come back in the picture, seeking her revenge. Because guess what? Not only did you take me out prior to WrestleMania, now you have a gold trinket that I have yet to hold. And the story becomes a three-way. And it brings some credence, it brings some credibility to the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So, for as much as Lyra has accomplished, unfortunately, sometimes you need that alley-oop. And this has brought Lyra more into the public spotlight. And by extension, has brought that championship into the public spotlight, which was the plan all along. Somehow, some way, over the last 6 months, they haven't done a damn thing with the Women's Intercontinental Championship up until this feud with Becky Lynch. Now, I got a couple of one-liners that I got to get off my chest. Becky beats Bird Lady. Big booty broads bumping butts. That's my ode to big sweaty men bumping meat. Big booty broads bumping butts. Speaking of bumping, Lyra bumps / sells her ass off. Some of those bumps that she takes, especially when she takes those DDTs and she stands on top of her head, it's scary. She's probably not gonna have a lot of longevity if she continues taking bumps like that, but she bumps like a freaking maniac, and I love it. But also, one last thought on this. They left that match with Lyra beating Becky Lynch up after Becky insisted that she raised her hand, not just one time, but to all 4 sides of the arena. And then put the strap on her, which I think was a double entendre for straps. But I digress. Men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Seth Rollins becomes a 2-time Money in the Bank winner, defeating the Field of L.A. Knight, Andrade Silencio. No, Andrade El Idolo? No, it's Andrade Silencio. Cayete. Meaning, ain't nobody cheering for Andrade. I'm sorry. It's bad. It's bad. Maybe he should just hang it up. Maybe he should bring the suspenders back. You know, Andrade Cien Almas. Yeah, maybe he should bring that back. Anyway. Who else was in this match? Damn it. Solo Sikoa. Yeah, Solo Sikoa. Yeah, Solo had his comeuppance. Damn. See how much I forgot? Oh, yeah. El Grande Americano. Yeah, El Grande Americano. Had a couple great spots. One in which he walked up the ladder into the ring, then walked up to another ladder, then springboarded, or should I say, used that ladder to get to the main ladder to climb up and almost win the contract. Damn. Who else was in here? So you had Seth, you had El Grande, you had Andrade, you had Solo, you had Seth, you had LA Knight. Okay, I guess I got all 6. Now, I got a couple thoughts on this match. And I got a couple thoughts on the faction itself with headed by Paul Heyman with Braun Breaker and Big Bronson Reed. Is Seth afraid that he will not be over without his song? It's a good question. He's turned heel. He has Heyman. And he has changed absolutely positively nothing. He has a faction with Braun and Bronson, and he still gets cheered because he hasn't even changed his music. He hasn't changed his character. He's still just as weird. Um, he's still a visionary, a revolutionary. He still hates Punk, CM Punk. He still hates Roman Reigns. But think about it. He's not really threatening, is he? Like his persona, his persona himself. Is he threatening? Is he interesting? You know what this reminds me of? Remember when he became the Messiah? Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah? And he talked like this every week because he has a vision for he is the Monday Night Messiah. And remember when he had AOP at his beck and call with Buddy Murphy? Doesn't Braun Breaker and Big Bronson Reed from afar look like AOP? Because they dress just like that? Is he rehashing that? Because that shit was trash back then. Like every week it was Seth, AOP, and Buddy Murphy versus Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. This is like in the 2019, beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic. What about Seth Rollins' character is interesting? It's giving boring. So I might as well let the cat out the bag, at least to my thoughts, because this will probably be coming out right around the beginning of Raw. So I'm quite sure people probably won't see this until after Raw. I predict the following. Either, well, Seth was always going to win this briefcase. There was nobody else to win the briefcase. Seth was going to win the briefcase because it pushes the story forward. But also, Seth wins the briefcase. They have this match with Jey Uso versus Gunther in their return match from WrestleMania. Jey Uso has been getting beat up week after week after week after week. Gunther has been raiding. Has Gunther even wrestled since WrestleMania? Think about it. Has he? Once, twice, 3 times a lady? And he's even told Jay, "You doing stupid shit. I know I'm going to beat you because what you're doing is not the place for a world champion. You're making it easy for me." So either Seth involves himself, costs Gunther the championship by either cashing in during the match or cashing in immediately after the match because he'll get Gunther disqualified, have his 2 goons, because trust and believe, Gunther's turning face by the end of this year. Have his 2 goons take Gunther out and leave Jay prone for a cash in. That's option number 1. Option number 2, do that same thing, but be foiled at the last moment by either CM Punk or Sami Zayn or a combination of both. And then we truly have some mystery about who is actually going to take the championship off of Jey Uso. Does Sammy take it off of Jey? Does Sammy win the King of the Ring? Do you know that the finals of the King of the Ring are in Saudi Arabia at Night of Champions? Due to just the geographic story, Sammy winning the King of the Ring tournament at Night of Champions to go on to SummerSlam to face Jey Uso for the championship in a face versus face. You have 2 nights of SummerSlam this year. That sounds like a plan. That sounds like a plan. Because I don't believe right now the story is Jay and Sammy. That's where the story is heading. And you don't have that story unless Jay still has the championship. The story is Punk, Rollins, and Roman. That's going into SummerSlam. The match for SummerSlam will probably be Seth versus Roman. Where does that leave Punk? I don't know. Do they run it back with the triple threat? Why not? I think that's where they're going. Now, some of these notes from the match, like I said, which is crazy. Wade Barrett stating that he knows the difference between Chad Gable and Grande Americano because their nipples are different. Was hilarious and creepy and troublesome. That would be like me saying, you know what? I know the difference between Zelina Vega and Alexis Bliss because the way their nipples stick out. That wouldn't be nice, now would it? Well, technically that wouldn't be nice because that means I'd really be looking at the nipples through the anyway. But yeah, that was hilarious. Solo Sikoa has elevated his charismatic level to the nth degree from where he was last year. To me, they waited too long to let him be himself. The fucking goof. In a good way. And he's also a Uso brother. He's funny. He's naturally funny. So I really think that if they would have allowed him to show his personality last year, maybe he would have gotten over to a better degree. Especially because you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Roman. When Roman started loosening up a little bit. He doesn't have the callousness of Roman. Roman knew how to snap into vicious mode, but you know, when Roman had that cockiness, just talking shit, that's what he reminded me of. Jacob Fatu helped Solo. So let me get this straight. Jacob Fatu helped Solo take out the faction of Seth Rollins just to screw him at the end. I mean, I get it, but that's a lot of work to do just to screw him at the end. And me personally, I think if they would have held that off to a SmackDown show promo segment of Fatu finally saying, "I hate you, Solo," it would have got over more than during all the chaos of the Money in the Bank, where you could hardly pick up the fact that matter of fact, he didn't say "I hate you, Solo." He just said "I hate you." Because remember, he got over by saying, "I love you, Solo." Yeah, so I think they dropped the ball on that one. But yeah, so it was, like I said, it was a good match. It was a good match. Predictable, yeah, but if everything I just laid out comes to fruition, it makes total sense. Total sense. Don't you know these greedy motherfuckers are going back to Vegas for Mania once again next year? And it'll be in the middle of April once again next year. Will it be on Easter weekend again? Huh? Will it be? Hopefully not. But I really think they are. You know, they canceled the prior plans of WrestleMania being in New Orleans to go back to Vegas. So what? So what? Now, last but not least, let's get this over with. Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes in his first match since WrestleMania, since getting screwed out the title in WrestleMania, defeated the team of Logan Paul and John Cena in the main event. Now, let me ask you this one big question. Oh, yeah, by the way, with the help of R-Truth. So, Cody Rhodes' triumphant return and him pinning John Cena wasn't through his own merits. It was based on R-Truth softening up John Cena for Cody Rhodes to hit the crossroads for him to pin John Cena. Not only that, I'm sorry. Let me get this straight. So Cody Rhodes got screwed out of his championship, got screwed and humiliated at WrestleMania. And the first thing he wanted upon his return was not revenge, was not a one-on-one match, but a tag team match against Cena. That's the first thing he wanted. And then when he finally got his hands on John Cena in the ring after a couple minutes of bait and switch, the first thing he does is a headlock. I swear, if I didn't know any better, I would think this was a all-out mission to screw, to sabotage, legitimately, Cody Rhodes. This time, you just don't have The Rock to blame. Now, Cody, I guess, will be back on SmackDown. And what's now? Now he can claim victory against John Cena and say, I pinned you with my title match. But once again, okay. How does he get this title match? We have 2 events before SummerSlam. We have Night of Champions, and we have Saturday Night Main Event in Texas. Well, no, in Atlanta. I don't think that's going to be the place for Cody to get his rematch. Do they run it back at Saudi Arabia and then hold off until SummerSlam? To me, the first and the next time that they need to go face off has to be in SummerSlam. We gotta get this title off of John Cena. Does Cody win at Saudi Arabia, in Saudi Arabia? And then he defends again against Cena at SummerSlam. I think the umph is off that if once Cody gets it, the umph is off the run. Will it be a catalyst for John Cena to turn face? Will R-Truth, will Ron Killings have something to say in this match? Don't know. But yeah. Money in the Bank. I guess if I have to rate it on a 1 to 5 salt shaker scale, I would give it 3.5 salt shakers. I'll tell you the truth. 3 salt shakers. 3 salt shakers.